Right.
And now I know what is wrong, what was wrong, and what is wrong, and how to correct it. It's a
Okay.
different thing. It's totally different. You have to learn not from scratch, but we have to recall, therefore reclaiming who we are. We were thrown out of our chairs, our thrones. We did rule. Let me give you a story. As I was coming up as a child, we were coming up as children. Listen to this, because I'm sure it happened in households all over America. What happened was when I was coming up, there would be a family gathering. And the family gathering would, in turn, that my mother's uncles and my grandmother, and my mother's aunt, the old one. My mother was born in 1919, September 6, 1919. So who her aunts were, they were in the 1800s easily. Who her brothers were easily the ones that were older. She was the youngest woman, easily in the 1800s. And so, therefore, they would come over to the house. We were children, and they would gather, and they would put chairs in the living room, not in the back room, not in a back room, not in a room with the door closed. No, they would put the chairs in the living room, and they would talk over. They would talk over things. Me being 4 and 5, 3, 4, and 5, 6, I did not understand what they were talking about. No, not at all. Not at that point. But I did understand that they were gathering. They did it on a regular basis. And I'm bringing it up because who did the decisions were the women, our Aunt Lou and Grandma Margaret, Aunt Susie, wonderful, great, vast women, just wisdom old and etched on their faces. And they didn't play around. And they discussed things, and the men, the uncles, the brothers brought things up, the children brought things up that was happening in the family, and they solved it. When they dispersed, they had the reasoning or the salvation of whatever problem they were discussing, and they did it on a regular basis. But who ran the show or who had the last decision, from what I understood, were the women. And they ruled wisely, consistently. They they did not give away to partying. There was no such thing. They wore their instruction seriously. Did I ever see them laugh? Oh yes, I would see them chuckle. But when it came down to business, it was business. It was the business at hand, and that is how we are used to doing it as a people.
Right.
The women and the men are the men in my family, the uncles, our great uncles. They had no problem. If they had a problem, it was discussed out. If the women saw that the men what the men were saying, and if it was sound, then they made adjustments. It was a wonderful thing.
Right.
And so that's the way, instead of the men kicking in the door or coming in the door, now you know this happens. The man comes home and he gets ready. All too often that happens, and he lays down some kind of law. And the law doesn't have to have any rhyme or reason. It doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be fair. See, we won't do that. We will get this thing back the way it's supposed to be dealt with, fair and honestly, and full of wisdom and love and nurturing. So instead of coming in, hey, where's my food? Hey, how come this is not done? How come that's not done? See, we there are some high-spirited women like that, sure, but everybody can be taught. And the women that I get together, I'm gonna teach you how to instruct your men. lovingly, understandably, consistently, and it can be done. Everybody has different things you have to go through, but if he refuses and he wants to harm or do something to you, you'll know how to handle that situation also. Because that's one thing that was discussed in the group. As I was coming up, I always heard if so-and-so, one of the women, it would be the woman, the aunt, the grandmother, would say, if so-and-so don't straighten up, he won't get to the kingdom. But it's our queendom. We're going to deal justly and fairly. So let's get back on that. Let's get back on that road. Let's get back, take the narrow road and make it wide with the truth. Instead of it being full of destruction, and many there go therein, many go up the road of destruction, despair. Many follow that road. That's wide. And narrow is the way to salvation. Let's change it. Let's make that narrow salvational wide. Let's do transformation of the road. They do it with highways all the time. That sounds a little unconnected, but it's really connected. Because we want to get back on with everyone being on the wide road of truth, knowledge, and understanding, and fairness, and just commend the ones that came from us, that lived inside of us, and were nurtured and were one with us. And when they came out, then it was backwards. They were now from us. They were men. They came from the woman, the Creator. The men are warlike by nature. They're the wars that have started minute by minute by men. And women just don't start wars like that. Come on. There have been a couple. We solved it. But men are warlike, and they are. How many people would live with wars going on every day? So we have to put this thing back on head. I've not heard anyone talk like this before. I was listening. As a child, I would listen to the radio, and I could close my eyes and imagine myself being right in the room or the amphitheater or wherever they were on the radio. I could imagine myself being right there. But I never heard someone